Good morning, everyone at Tushita and online, and very welcome for this session this morning. So for the next 5 weeks, I think every 2 weeks on Saturday we'll have Sunday, sorry, every 2 weeks on Sunday at 11 we'll have a Dharma discussion with Lokesh Jindal, who completed the first batch of the Nalanda Master's course at Tibet House, and now is studying Buddhist philosophy in general at Delhi University, right? And so we are very fortunate to be welcoming Lokesh again. So today in the next 3 sessions, I think we'll explore cause and effect. What is a cause? What is an effect? And as you might know, when we talk about karma in general, it is a very hidden phenomena, meaning that only the omniscient mind, can really understand all the details about karma, how it works completely. So it is promising to be a very interesting discussion this morning, and I'm really looking forward. And Lokesh also came this morning with Venerable Losong Kunsang from the Institute of Buddhist Dialectics in Dharamshala. So she will introduce the topic before we start the discussion. Venerable, please.
Okay. Thank you. Can you hear me? Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Lobsang Kunsam. I'm from Italy. Usually I'm related with Lama Tsongkhapa Institute from Italy. And I'm studying the dialectic school in Dharamsala. I was visiting Lokesh La. He requested me to make a little introduction. I will try my best. I think he's more prepared than me. So when we speak about cause and effect, so the concept of cause and effect is the first step to understand dependent arising. I think most of you heard a lot about the concept of dependent arising, and the first step to understanding is through understanding the law of cause and effect. When we speak about the cause and effect, it's just not related to karma, okay? But it starts from also by looking the world, how things are produced from the material point of view, until then get it in the way that also in the mind it works, and through actions it works. So when we speak about cause, for example, there are different ways to divide cause by speaking from the point of view of substantial cause and cooperative conditions. Even if in the word in general, when we think about cause, implicitly we imply it is that which is considered to be a substantial cause, or in other words, the main producer. Okay? So everything is produced by causes and conditions, and the main causes usually are considered substantial causes in a way that everything is produced has to be produced from something which is of similar type. For example, if it is a matter, has to be produced from something which is a matter, and that matter which is producing it has to be of similar type, something which keeps a continuity on that thing. When we consider that kind of production, we can call it as like substantial production, or substantial cause and substantial effect. This substantial cause cannot work alone, needs also cooperative conditions. Okay, so like for example, if you want to produce a sprout, so we need, for that particular sprout, we need particular seed. And for that particular seed, in order to ripen a sprout, we need special conditions, like we need a special weather, we need water, and other things. If all those conditions are not present, the substantial cause itself cannot produce its sprout. It is similar for other kind of productions. When we speak about the mind, it would be similar. So when you want to produce a cognitive perception, in that case, you need a specific substantial cause which is of similar type and cooperative conditions that contribute to that kind of production. Okay, so the way of understanding is starting from the most evident level, so from the matter, and then slowly we can understand it also from the point of view of the mind, and then we can understand it also from the point of view of the karma. Okay, this is most difficult because karma is considered to be an extremely hidden phenomenon, and so it's not something we can also understand just through reason, but by relying on a spiritual guide. And this spiritual guide has to be understood to be a qualified spiritual guide. And the way to understand how it is qualified is by relating on the teachings that can be established to reason. So when the teachings can be established to reason, then we can rely on understanding the law of cause and effect from the point of view of karma. So this is a general introduction I can give, and I think Lokesh will give the details. Okay, thank you, and nice to see you.
Thank you, Venerable. Most people probably don't know, she's also my teacher in the ILTK Logic and Debate course. So it was my great fortune that she came, visited us in Delhi and staying with us for a couple of days. And since she was here, I thought it would be a good opportunity to introduce her to our audience here and take her guidance on that matter. I have kind of been involved in discussions here in the past, so most of you probably know me, but my name is Lokesh Jindal and I'm a student of philosophy in Delhi University and with Venerable Geshe Dorji Tamdul in Tibet House. And whatever I've learned is through the kindness of my teachers, and whatever I have to say is just basically parroting what they have taught me. There is zero insights into whatever I'm going to say. Generally, we hear of cause and effect in various aspects. In our daily life also, we know the meanings. Okay, just it's low. Okay. So we know the meanings in a very general way. But in the philosophy in general, including Western philosophy and of course our Indian philosophy, not just Buddhist but other traditions, causation is a very, very important topic. Most of our, from Western perspective, most of our theories about how the world comes to be and how things interact with each other is based on causation. Most of the science derives from it. Logic largely is based on it, and so it's of paramount importance that we understand this topic very, very well. In Buddhist context, it acquires a very, very special meaning because the insight that Buddha shared, and we'll discuss that today, hopefully, on causation were very unique. They were unique not just at his time, they are unique even now because there are kind of debates and discussions going on around whether that's a kind of a valid way of saying it. Especially it becomes unique because it counteracts some of the established traditions, especially in Indian context, where cause and its effect were understood in a kind of a different way. So we'll try to do a little deep dive into the Buddhist view of cause and effect, Hopefully it will be simple enough because of my limitation of my capacity rather than of anything else, and hopefully it will add value. I have a small presentation which I will start to share. The causes is not yet present for me to present the presentation.
Sorry, no, it's
Just give me a sec. Are you all able to share my screen, to see my screen? So we'll start with a small prayer before any discussion. Let's recite 3 times. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Along with this, I'll just read out and you can maybe see the screen of a prayer which I want to read first, and we'll return to it later in our discussion. It's a very small guidance by Lama Tsongkhapa, and just ignore the highlighted parts, we'll come back to them later. But just to set the right tone for the discussion, I think it's valuable that we just read through it. You can read it in your minds and I'll read it loud. 3 principal aspects of the path by Lama Tsongkhapa. I bow down to the Venerable Lamas. As well as I'm able, I will explain the essence of all the teachings of the Conqueror, the path praised by the Conqueror's children, the entrance for those who desire liberation. Listen with a clear mind, you fortunate ones, who are not attached to the joys of cyclic existence. Strive to make good use of leisure and opportunity, and direct your minds to the path that pleases the Buddha. Without pure renunciation, an end to attraction for the pleasures of cyclic existence is unattainable. The craving for existence also binds beings. Thus, from the outset, seek renunciation. Reverse attraction to this life by reflecting on how leisure and opportunity are difficult to find, and how life is ephemeral and without span. Reverse attraction to future lives by repeatedly thinking of the infallibility of karma and its effects, and the miseries of samsara. Contemplating thus, when for an instant you do not admire the splendors of cyclic existence and remain intent on liberation day and night, renunciation is born in you then. Renunciation, if not tempered by the pure mind of bodhicitta, however, does not bring forth the perfect bliss of unsurpassed enlightenment. Thus, the wise one generates the excellent mind of bodhicitta. Swept up in the currents of the 4 powerful rivers, tied by strong bonds of karma so hard to undo, caught in the iron chains of self-grasping, completely enveloped in the darkness of ignorance, born and reborn in boundless cyclic existence, ceaselessly tormented by the 3 miseries, thinking of your mothers in this condition, generate the supreme mind of bodhicitta. Although you train in renunciation and the mind of bodhicitta, without wisdom that realizes the ultimate reality, you cannot cut the root of cyclic existence. Thus, strive to understand dependent arising. One who sees the infallible cause and effect of all phenomena in samsara and nirvana and destroys all focuses of apprehension has entered the path which pleases the Buddha. Appearances are infallible dependent arising. Emptiness is the understanding that is free of assertions. As long as these two are seen as distinct, you have not yet realized the intent of the Buddha. When the two realizations are concurrent, when the mere sight of infallible dependent origination concurrently destroys all modes of grasping through definite discernment, at that time the analysis of the profound view is perfected. Furthermore, appearances refute the extremes of existence, emptiness refutes the extreme of non-existence. When you understand that emptiness arises in the form of cause and effect, you are not captivated by the view of extremes. O my child, once you have thus realized the points of the three principal paths, seek solitude and cultivate strong determination and quickly reach the final goal. You must have noticed the focus on cause and effect in this prayer too. So we'll come back to it later, but first let's do some basics of what cause and effect are. So standard Buddhist definition of cause is just one word: producer, or that which produces. It's deceivingly simple. So everything that produces something is a cause. And the effect, its counterpart, is that which is produced. I think we'll understand them when we look at their divisions later. But there are causes which are called direct causes, and then there are causes which are indirect. So the direct causes, we mean the cause which was just a moment before the effect that arose out of it. So there is no intervening time gap. So that's important, actually very important, because even though we might have all the causes with us that would lead to a result, but if there's a time lag between all those causes and the effect, there could be something that undermines the production of the effect. There could be conditions that could make that effect not to arise. It becomes important, for example, when we say there's degeneration of merit, etc., before the merit has led to its desired effect of, let's say, generating higher insights or generating deeper level of bodhicitta, etc. So indirect causes are basically where there's a time lag, which means that there is not 100% certainty that the effect will be produced. Right? In the same way, effects can be direct and indirect. Direct effects are the ones which are the counterparts of direct cause. So the one that is just produced is the effect, and which are produced late in later moments are the indirect effects. So again, like this, the indirect effects are not kind of guaranteed to be produced by the causes that we call are their causes, because there could be other things that could be involved. When you talk about first Buddhist insight into cause and effect, is what is written in the presentation in the bottom: cause and effect are mutually inclusive. Now it becomes a little technical maybe, but I'd invite people to actually say what that could mean to you. Mutually inclusive, by the way, technically just means that if it is a cause, it is an effect, and if it's an effect, it's a cause. If it's not a cause, it's not an effect, and if it's not an effect, it's not a cause, basically. So that kind of correspondence is there. So what does that really mean? The cause and effect are mutually inclusive. What does that kind of bring to your mind? Anybody? Yes, Nico. Yeah.
They are different, but they share the, as you said, it's called the 8 doors of pervasion, no?
Yeah.
What is A is B, what is B is A, what is not A is not B, and so forth.
Yeah.
This is my understanding of mutually inclusive.
Yeah, that's the understanding of mutually inclusive, but how does it make it relevant for cause and effect? Yes. Sir, what's your name?
I'm Dr. Vikas Mehra.
Dr. Vikash Mehra. Yes.
The effect for something is a cause for something, and the cause for something is the effect for something. For example, the sunlight is the cause
Yes.
Then the plants, the leaves become the cost for the germination of other kinds of living life like caterpillars and butterflies and so on.
Yeah.
Which in themselves basically become the cause then for taking away, becoming flight into the air, and then they basically become the cause for something else that it goes in a cycle and goes to the origin for the cycle. To make it very simplistic.
Very nice, very nice. You brought about in your last phrase a very, very important question where that this is relevant. I agree with you that uh, basically this statement means that there is a series of cause and effect. So everything that is a cause must be an effect of something else in that. But you view it as a circle, we view it as a series, and that's where the discussion could be. But before that, anybody else has any view on this? Mutually inclusive cause and effect? Online? Right. So, just to respond to this original cause, is there any original cause if you believe that cause and effect are mutually inclusive? This original cause means that there was no cause before that, which caused this original cause to come to existence, right?
In my personal opinion, no one can answer that. Because
Uh-huh.
none of us have seen that data, we can only philosophize.
Yes, we are just philosophizing in a way. We are just philosophizing in a way. Yeah. But although we have not seen it, and that's where I think there is a, how do I say it? At least in Buddhist sphere of things, rationality is given such a priority because even if there is no direct knowledge, we are not rejecting an inferential knowledge of things through reason, right? There are many things which you can only access through reason, not through direct observation. And if this is one of those things, I'm not shying away from that. So if somebody argues to me that, Lokesh, you can't answer this because you've not seen it, I would say it is not necessary for me to have seen it to argue for or against a position. If rationality means that we could, derive a conclusion based on certain assumptions and going through a process of reasoning, then we should probably follow it. If observations were only the valid thing, we would still be thinking that the sun and moon go around the earth, actually, because my eyes only show me that. Right? So given this now, would you think that there could be an original cause? Assuming that cause and effect are mutually inclusive is a valid statement. We could argue that maybe it's not a valid statement. There could be original causes which are not caused by anything else. There could be, if you disagree with this position. And that's actually one of the, I guess, big disagreements between Buddhist thought and other Indian tradition thoughts, right? So it's not a trivial question at all, right? In fact, that's why I brought it up as one of the singular insights from Buddha's realizations, that the cause and effect are mutually inclusive. There can't be a cause which is uncaused. And therefore we say timeless. You'll see all Buddhist texts have this word timeless used time and again, right? The origin of that is just like this, because all impermanent things have to be cause, they have to be effects, and therefore there is no logical way you can assert an original cause and final effect or something like that. Aristotle has problem with final effects. He would generalize the causes to 2-3 causes, and then he would argue for final effects and things like that in his book called Metaphysics. Again, there could be argues for and against those things, But from Buddhist perspective, you'd say that they are mutually inclusive, and that's, I think, a founding principle of Buddhist thought. If it was not there, we couldn't say that all composed things are impermanent. In fact, that even that would become invalid. That would not stand the scrutiny of reason. Right? Any more thoughts? Okay. So cause and effect are mutually inclusive in the sense that everything is a cause and everything is an effect. But they are mutually exclusive in the sense that if it is a cause of something, it can't be the effect of that thing because it is a series, right? Like you rightly mentioned, that the seed is the cause of the plant, and then the plant is the cause of the fruit that comes about, right? Or the flowers that bloom, right? So that's a distinction that we should make. I'll move on to the next page where we touch upon.
I have a question. Hello, am I audible? I have a question.
Yeah, please. Sorry, I'm not able to see all the participants, so please just
So
speak.
no, my camera is off. Actually, I'm not doing well. That's why camera is off.
All right,
So I
okay.
have a question related to this, that how to know that which cause effect is this? Means that twist where it changes, unfolds, then again it starts. How to know it?
Let me first make your volume loud enough so that everybody can hear.
Okay.
Soul controls you. This one. Not mute. And then to the TV somewhere. Yeah, make it.
This one?
Yeah.
I think now we'll be able to hear you well, but
Okay.
great.
Yeah.
Could you repeat the question, please, then?
So the question is that how to know that when cause becomes effect, like how it unfolds, then again folds, then when it is this cause, other cause, effect from which cause, all these things. Because it will be
Yeah,
little bit easy if we are able to uh, uh, grasp it little bit. So not in terms of like, okay, this is very much clear, but hints,
yeah,
inference in sense of inference. It
right. Well, for some of the things, so let me start with simple things and then move to complex things in this response. Some of things are very easy. If you
mm,
have a chai boiling on your stove, you know it will become hot, right?
mm,
Right. Some things we do from observation. We learn from observation, and then we kind of infer. Next time you put something on the stove, it will become hot, right?
mm.
So some cause and effect we learn from the environment, right? These are like worldly facts, right? So
Yeah, but
if you drop, yeah, I know, I'm coming to that.
difficult in life's day-to-day pattern, behavioral patterns, or means I as a psychologist I'm asking, even personal basis also, that sometimes it's very difficult that altogether 5 years went like that, then again this pattern is repeating. So how to understand this? This is little bit specific now. This I wanted
Okay,
to ask, along with
yeah,
other, maybe others people feel like this, but they are not able to put this because repeated patterns are there in everybody's life, and they are caught up in that, and it's very difficult to point where to start and just break it and move on like this. So
yeah. So obviously there are difficulties in identifying the causes, right?
hmm,
Um, some of these we just say that they are karma, which is a very vague term actually. Although all schools have tried to clarify it very much, but the way it is understood in general public, it becomes a little kind of vague. Um, if we think of this in terms of habituations, probably it is a little easier to
habituation.
understand. Although I'm not doing technical justice to the term,
Okay.
but it's a kind of shorthand way of understanding that it's a kind of habits, habituations, mental patterns that we form, and somehow we are not able to get rid of them or to be flexible about them because of various causes and conditions that we undergo.
Thought pattern, maybe.
Thought patterns, and in Buddhist context, we would say that even those patterns, we are not able to figure those out because some of those we have forgotten what were the original causes of those things within this life. But in Buddhist, we'll say it may not be just limited to this life. It could be something that you're carrying from your previous lives too, right? So then, because all the memories of explicit kind of events of previous lives are kind of sent in a storehouse which you don't have access to in this life until you are a very realized person, it becomes very tricky to identify where that is coming from, right? Um, in terms of spiritual practice, um, different people have different positions, and with my limited learning, what I say, what works for me is that I think Buddha has given, and our kind teachers have given enough and more kind of cause and effect relations for us to practice dharma meaningfully. At the same time, we are not, until we become very realized people, we don't have access to exactly what specific thing or what combination of specific things led to a specific
Yes,
effect.
this combination I was trying to understand that.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
thank you.
yeah.
Got.
But we still can have access to few of them through our experience. I'm not saying that everything is lost like that. For spiritual practice, there is enough hints to, not hints, clear instructions actually, from our teachers, down from Buddha, uh, that what causes lead what kind of results. So what types of causes lead to what types of results. Not this specific cause that you did in this thing would lead to this in that life, something kind of that. Those are kind of anecdotes in Jataka tales or even in scriptures. For example, a fly,
Accumulation of last words. Mm.
right? Accumulations of merit or accumulations of
Mm.
different habits,
Okay.
right?
So can you
So,
please suggest any text for this, any book or any reference on this topic?
um, well, pick up any of the books of His Holiness,
Book of?
His Holiness the Dalai Lama. There is no book
Okay.
that there is no Buddhist meaningful book or good book which doesn't deal with the topic of cause and effect. Directly or indirectly, it will all boil down to that actually.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Right. Thank you for the question. So when we speak of causes, now let's do a little bit of more deep dive. Let's start with a discussion actually. That's probably will warm us up. All of us say the seed is the cause of the sprout, right? Is there somebody who disagrees with this here? All texts would say seed is the cause of sprout. Even some places would have it in like authoritative text also. But let's say I were to argue, no, that can't be valid because I have this seed on this table, right? And if I leave it like this, even for 1,000 years, it will not produce a plant. So how is seed a cause of the sprout? All of my Buddhist friends here, do you have a response to that? Yeah, Nico, yeah, go ahead.
It's a direct cause, but you need supportive conditions. You need cooperative conditions such as soil, water, you need some light source such as the sun. Otherwise, your seed will never produce an effect such as a sprout.
Oh, well, the soil is there somewhere and the sunlight is there somewhere, and everything is there somewhere. I mean, the seed is lying here. I'm not saying that those things are absent. They are there, no?
They all need to come together for the seed to produce a sprout.
Okay. They need to come together on the seed, not just anywhere. Right? But this is not a trivial point, right? Coming together is a key thing. And we'll go deeper into what that coming together means, right? Let's say that seed was wrapped in this, food, poly, whatever, those things are there, right? Small polythene. And then you put it in the ground and you give water and enough sunlight. Will it, now they're together, no? Will it
I
produce?
think there is a time factor also.
There's a time factor. Can you elaborate
Yes.
that?
Suppose it is in a plastic bag, that seed, okay, inside,
Mm-hmm.
means due to erosion, something it happened that it just burst. And now it is
Right.
in direct contact with the conducive atmosphere, that is soil, water, and whatever it is needed to sprout. So that time which took that span, that was supposed to happen, means some
Yeah.
phenomena was going on throughout that time, and that exact time it had to start with the process of next phase sprouting. This is how I'm thinking, like.
Yeah. Well, that's an important point. The effect takes time to get produced.
Yes,
We all agree. Which, in technical way, is saying effect and cause don't exist simultaneously for the same object.
yes.
So the sprout and the seed, which is the cause of the sprout, can't exist at the same time. There has to
Hmm.
be sequentiality to it, right? So that's
Sequential,
what you're
yes.
saying. Yeah,
Yes,
right.
linear, sort of linear progress.
Right. But nobody is answering to my question. I mean, seed is the cause of sprout, but my seed is not the cause of sprout. What's wrong? I mean, how is the general statement then? The seed is the cause of sprout. Does it need to be modified? Seed is the cause of sprout, big, and not just that. It is the cause of sprout only when all the conditions are together. Do we need to modify this statement then? We should, right? But we are not. Yeah, please.
No. So I will just take the terminology of development
Hmm.
first.
Hmm.
So if you put the seed in the ground
Hmm.
and the seed is in the ground, that's
Right.
your output. That's a result of your action. If the seed which is in the ground through the water that comes from the sky, through the light that comes from the sun to become a plant and a tree, that's your outcome. And the causality, an outcome, causality with an outcome, is the cumulative result
Hmm.
of different causality link that you cannot fully influence. Right? And in fact, you can influence some of the causality, but not all of them. There's some
Right.
causality that are beyond you
Yeah.
reach,
Yeah.
and that's what we call in development an outcome.
Right. Yeah, well, that's a valid point. Some of the causes maybe you cause, like a potter is the kind of a cause of making a pot, right? You would say that. Yeah? And some you don't cause. Maybe you didn't cause that clay which became the pot in that sense, right? But do I need to modify my statement? I'm coming back. Do I need to change my statement? Seed is the cause of sprout. Should I qualify it only when all the conditions are present?
I think not, because if you take an apple seed, it will never produce a mango tree, for example.
Right.
Think
But that doesn't
seed
counter
is
my argument at all.
Huh?
a
That doesn't
seed is
counter
a
my argument at all. I'll say
Can I come
apple
in?
seed. Yeah, let me just finish with this, Rohini. So, all you're saying is that apple seed is the cause of apple sprout. Do I need to qualify this statement? Then let me modify my question again then. Do I need to qualify this statement, apple seed is the cause of apple sprout only when the conditions are present? Do I need that qualification or not?
Can I come in?
Yes, please.
I'm just taking a guess based on your argumentation that cause and effect are mutually inclusive. So I
Right.
think it boils down to the same question about whether chicken, which came first, chicken or the egg. So where did
Well,
the
it's
seed
not
come
chicken and
from?
egg because we know sprout will always come later than seed. So it's not chicken and egg in that sense, right? Is it?
I was just trying to get to, maybe you're trying to say like, where did the seed come from? So what is the cause of the seed? Perhaps, I don't know.
The cause of this seed is the earlier tree where some fruits were there, and within that fruit there was a seed which kind of is now sitting on my table. All right. So why I'm kind of stuck on this point is to bring home a point about a generic way of speaking of things and specific ways of speaking of things. We all agree that it's a truth that birds fly, right? There is nobody who debates it, right? The birds fly. What do birds do? They fly. Does it have to mean that all birds fly? It doesn't have to, right? So there is a general yet valid way of speaking of things, which does not need to imply that all instances or all examples need to meet that condition, right? In a similar way, when we talk about causes, although we use the word cause, we need to think through when we get into specifics whether that cause is really acting as a cause without the presence of certain other conditions with it, right? And that's an important point that we'll deal with even I think 2 pages down if time permits today. So the many difficulties in understanding spiritual texts, especially technical Buddhist texts, stems from this. To take a generic valid statement and trying to find whether it applies to all instances or not. It doesn't have to. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And that's where a critical thought is required to kind of go deeper layer into what is being said. Right? So let's get to the substantial cause. This is a very important thing. We say a substantial cause of a thing is that which is the main producer of a thing as a continuation of its own substantial entity. So that's a very important part. So for example, the lump of clay which becomes the pot. So becoming it itself changing into something else. So that's a substantial cause. So for an effect, there has to be at least one substantial cause that we must be able to posit, but it doesn't have to be just one. For example, you take two small pieces of clay, you mix them together and make a bigger pot. So now these two small ones both act as the substantial cause of that pot, right? So it doesn't have to be one, but at least one is required, right? Now, some people say that parts of the object are its substantial causes. That's not the case because, like we just discussed, it has to be sequential in time. So the cause has to be before the effect. So the parts which are together with the effect, for example, a pot, its bottom or its curved surface as parts are not the causes of that pot, right? And it's also a very nice definition of substantial cause given by His Holiness the First Dalai Lama, which clarified many things for many people who are engaged in, I guess, discussions of this around that time. So that which mainly benefits the substantial nature of a thing. So it distinguishes two kinds of natures of things. So one is a substantial nature, other is a circumstantial nature, right? And the one that is linked to the substantial nature has to be the substantial cause of that thing. So just an example, let's say there is a pot which we then color white, right? And then we can color it blue also, right? So these are called kind of, for that blue pot, the substantial cause would still be that clay, but the circumstantial nature, that blueness of that, would not be the substantial, would be a circumstantial nature of that thing, which is produced by the paint, not the clay, right? Things like that. Then we come to cooperative conditions. So these two are kind of divisions of causes, where we try to say what leads really. There's some things which are contributing to the nature of an object, of a substantial nature you could call, or the real nature, or what makes that object, that kind of thing. Some people call it defining characteristics. Some people might choose different words, and it's a very vague term to explain what nature really means, and forms a field of study in itself, I think. But approximations, descriptions are like this. And the cooperative conditions, which are like kind of, they come and go. For example, if you heat water, it becomes hot, but if you let it cool down, it cools. So that heat or the temperature of that water is not a kind of the real nature of water. It is a kind of a circumstantial property it acquired under influence of some conditions or something like that, right? So the cooperative conditions are that which are the main producer of clay pot, for example, clay pot, as a substantial entity which is not a continuation of its own substantial entity, which just basically means that, like a potter is not transforming into a pot, right? Or the wheel of the potter is not becoming the pot, right? Although these things are required to make the pot, their own entity remains intact in the process of producing a pot, right? So these are the cooperative conditions. Right. So another way of explaining it, these are the causes, these cooperative conditions are the causes which help the substantial cause, for example, the clay, to become the effect, for example, the pot. So they do not become the pot, and they assist in the coming of the pot. Now it leads many people to think that only substantial causes are important and cooperative conditions are not. We know through the discussion before that cooperative conditions, for example, in the case of a seed, the ground where it is sown, the sunlight, water, heat, etc., moisture, all those are important for it to germinate. So all those cooperative conditions need to be present for the substantial cause to really become an effect. Now we come to the next page where we'll modify this statement a little, what I just said. We're kind of going a little deeper based on what Nico was saying earlier, and ties down to our discussions about whether the seed is the cause of sprout, its generic statement is valid or not. Acharya Dharma Kirti would say that until the cooperative conditions have met the causes, actually those causes can't be called causes. Those are not even causes. Right? In general way, we are speaking of seed as a cause of sprout, but really under the skin of it is not yet a cause until it has met the cooperative conditions. Right? Why is this important? When we are doing practices and other, dharmic activities or spiritual activities, until we have acquired the required set of cause and conditions, those activities are not yet causes of us becoming enlightened. So the comprehensiveness of our practice becomes very important. Partial practices, because all the things are not coming together yet, they are not yet the, become really causes for the effect to be arising. So it becomes very important kind of guideline from Acharya Dharmakirti to understand this in this way. To go more deeper, they're saying that just coming together is not enough, to your point, Nico. There is something else happening there. There is a switch in those not yet causes things to change their nature into becoming causes. So something is changing in them before they acquire the potential or ability to act as a cause. It's a vaguely defined thing yet, but it's something that we need to all think about. So just coming together is one more step required. So this is a verbatim. They have to undergo change of their nature from not being causes to being causes. It becomes a little kind of difficult to understand because typically in general non-technical discussions we do not go to this discussion. But I thought because the forum is such and we are sitting in such a center of such a high Lama, I think I should bring out this topic and at least generate some sort of curiosity what this could be, to go one level deeper into our spiritual and exploration. Now I think we will probably run out of time too very soon, but I'll try to highlight a few things from a celebrated composition by Lama Tsongkhapa, which we read in the beginning of the session too, and see where he is pointing to what we have just discussed, right? So there, because it's such a great composition, there are many ways to relate to it. And I wouldn't be surprised that every one of us relates to this in a very, very different way, right? And when we think through cause and effect, I think it's a prayer about cause and effect, actually. It lays down for us the series of causes and the corresponding effects until Buddhahood in very concise form. So let's see what he's trying to say. I'll just talk about the highlighted points. First, we should just look at what path means. This is a word that we use so often, and so many people have so many different ways of explaining it. Mine is very simple, actually. It is a series of causes and effect. A path laid down for our mental development is nothing but causes that we acquire to generate desired effects and causes that we avoid to not encounter the undesired effects. That's what a path is to me, at least. There are very flowery ways of talking about these things, but really the intent, if you look at our teachers, is all the instructions, all the teachings are basically saying that these are the causes, please accumulate those. These are not favorable causes, please avoid those. It just boils down to that in the end of the day, because their whole mission is to bring us to enlightenment. And that's why this series of cause and effect, the path, is very important. And path is nothing but a series of causes and effect explained very well by enlightened teachers. That's how I think of a path. Many people have many ways of saying it, but here, if you look at next one, the 3, this one, what does it say? Without pure renunciation, an end to attraction for the pleasures of cyclic existence is unattainable. So what is the cause here and what is the effect? Anybody? In this sentence, without pure renunciation, an end to the attraction for the pleasures of cyclic existence is unattainable. If you were to reread it in terms of cause and effect, what is the cause here?
Have to end the attraction to the pleasures of cyclic existence so that we can develop renunciation.
Or is it the other way around, sir?
And I was also thinking it's an interesting sentence.
Right? We're saying without A, B is not possible. So A must be the cause?
That's what I thought, but then I had a double thing.
What do you say, Ajirji? You seem to have a view, but you're not speaking.
I think
Renunciation for enlightenment.
We'll come to enlightenment later because that's an important point. But this here is not talking about enlightenment. Just the very early step in the development.
renunciation is the effect.
Renunciation is the effect.
And the end of the pleasure of the samsaric
Is the cause.
Yeah, that's the cause.
I think attraction is the cause, pleasure is the effect.
Attraction is the cause, pleasure is the effect. Very interesting.
Sort of. It's a cycle.
You also think renunciation is the cause. I am the only. Did you say effect? You said, he said renunciation is the effect. Very nice. Yeah?
I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying renunciation is the cause. The result is the path. Without renunciation, there is no path.
No, in this sentence, end of attractions for the pleasures of cycling existence is unattainable. In this, what is cause, what is effect?
There is no cause and effect in this sentence.
Very interesting, very interesting. So, to get a hint, let's look at the fourth one. What is his instruction to us? Reverse attraction to this life. This is his instruction. What he is saying? Remove the cause. Or in saying positive way, reverse the attraction of life. This is the cause which will produce the pure renunciation. Without pure, right? What do you think? Now what do you think?
You have to differentiate this view.
Lokeshla, I think the cause is renunciation, and the effect is an end to the attraction of the pleasures of cyclic existence. The result,
Yeah, this is how the sentence reads, right? Without pure renunciation, without A, B is not possible. So A must be the cause. Yeah. Without seed, the sprout is not possible.
If we want to renounce our attraction or addiction to tea, then we have to, let's see how it works in this. Then we have to not be attracted. We have to see the reasons for not being attracted to tea.
Yeah.
To develop renunciation.
Yes.
Which will be, of course, very difficult. But, yeah. So we have to end the attraction. And that will cause us to be able to renounce it. But it seems like Lama Tsongkhapa is deliberately giving two different ways of saying it to make us think deeper. That's what it looks like. But I'm not sure.
I don't think it's a different way. I think the same point. What is being said in the first, now, that is the kind of the statement, and then the second one, reverse. What is there? You are giving the example of the tea, for instance. If there's a pleasure for me in the samsaric, can I really renounce that?
He's saying without pure renunciation, as though that is a cause.
Yeah.
Without this, you won't have an end to attraction. So renunciation is the cause, and end to attraction is the effect. But lower down, it looks like the other way around.
No, my job here is done because two of the very, very long time practitioners of and genuine practitioners are debating this. So then my job is done here.
So you just wanted us to debate with my old friend.
Would you mind turning the mic around when somebody speaks? People online are saying they cannot hear, but if you turn it around, they will hear.
Oh, okay.
Just when somebody speaks.
Okay. Yeah.
Just the attraction and the renunciation to the attraction is the causality between, is the relation of causality between the cause and the result. And by renouncing to the attraction, we change the interaction between the cause and the result. So technically, we are not working on the cause and the result. The cause and the result, they remain there and they are not something we are working. We are working on changing how they will interact, or the cause will generate a different result by renouncing to the attraction. That's the way I understand it. So for me, the renunciation is not working on the cause. It's working on how we get our result out of the similar cause. Sorry.
Well, and if you look at
Sorry.
okay. Now, but let's look at fifth verse. Renunciation is born in you then. Now this set from 3 to 5 is a set about generating an effect. Right? And the conclusion is renunciation is born in you then. The effect is generated through whatever has been explained in 3 and 4. So here, it is clear that renunciation is an effect. But there is room for a lot of thought in these 3, 4, and 5. What comes first? We all try to generate renunciation, but is our method correct? Are we correcting the right causes for it? Or are we just saying renunciation, like I do, renunciation, and we try to generate like that? He clearly says the effect, the things required to generate it, right? Reversing attraction to this life or to future life and things like that. All the steps are kind of listed out. Let's go further a little. Now we'll say renunciation, if not tempered by pure mind of bodhicitta, however, does not bring forth the perfect bliss of unsurpassed enlightenment. Now, what are the causes and effects?
This is easy.
We'll see.
Looks like enlightenment's the effect, right? When bodhicitta and renunciation are cause. That's what it looks like.
Of these, renunciation and bodhicitta, would you be able to say what is a substantial cause and what is a cooperative condition?
Yes, we are taught that bodhicitta is like a substantial cause and renunciation is the initial, very important circumstantial cause. But even that doesn't sound right, just like you said. They both seem to be substantial causes, but if you just have renunciation, you can't get enlightenment. If you have bodhicitta, it implies you already have renunciation. So that would be the main cause. Bodhicitta would be substantial cause.
So you would say renunciation is an indirect cause and bodhicitta is a direct cause, maybe?
One could put it that way. Yeah.
Because they are sequential, like bodhicitta would not arise before renunciation arises. So renunciation is the cause of bodhicitta, and these two together. But why do you need them to be together? Why would Lama Tsongkhapa mention renunciation here? He would just say now generate bodhicitta, because that's what you need for enlightenment.
But he's implying that you understand that, for example, equanimity, compassion, great compassion are the causes of bodhicitta. That is kind of taken for granted. Yes.
So this basically says, sorry. So this basically says that there could be two causes required, maybe, or maybe it's one cause, but a series of first renunciation, then bodhicitta, and which then leads to enlightenment. Right?
I would tend to disagree in both cases that I don't think renunciation is the substantial cause of the end to the attractions of pleasure, cyclic existence, or vice versa. And for this one, I also think bodhicitta and renunciation are not the causes of unsurpassed enlightenment.
Why would you say that?
Because
Why would you say that?
unsurpassed enlightenment is also a path, right? It's the path of normal learning. And the substantial cause for that is the last moment of the path of meditation on the last bhumi, right? So this is a mind that is in meditative equipoise, realizing the emptiness of objective existence directly. So, which is also further divided into this. So this path of unsurpassed enlightenment is a path of. So the last moment of the path of meditation is within the meditative equipoise. It is the liberating, uninterrupted path. And the first moment of unsurpassed enlightenment, the result of that is the liberated path. So which has the absence of all the obscurations. So I don't think bodhicitta
let me ask a simple question. I know you're getting very technical. I know you're very technically advanced. So let me ask you very simple questions for our audience benefit also. The fruit on the tree, is seed a cause for it?
How you get to that last moment before now?
Yes.
Is seed a cause of the fruit?
Sorry, can you say again?
Is seed a cause of the fruit which is born on the tree which comes out of that seed? So in the series, so the question here is, in the series of cause and effect, can we say all the causes that preceded were the causes for this effect, or we just say the immediately preceding was the cause of this? That's the question basically.
The immediately preceding cause is the substantial cause, right?
It's the direct cause. Technically we'll say it's a direct cause. It doesn't have to be substantial cause, because that seed that needed water, right? That was not a substantial cause, but it was direct cause, and after that the sprout came out, right? So
is it valid to say that bodhicitta is the cause of unsurpassed enlightenment?
it is a cause. We are not making here a statement it's the only cause.
Right.
We are not saying it, because his motive here is to enumerate the three separately, right? Three stages separately. I don't think his intents to say that without wisdom and emptiness you can achieve Buddhahood, right? That's not what his intents to say. But he's saying that of the conditions or causes that you need to accumulate, bodhicitta is a very important one.
I mean, presumably Jericho is writing this text for everyone, not just people who are going to study arts and grounds and become
Yes.
So he has to give something which is general.
Yes, of course.
No space for everything else.
No, this text is so powerful and nice, because it's not just an instruction what is cause and effect and what produces. So after saying, let's say, third and the sixth stanza, right? Fourth, fifth are explanation how to achieve it. After saying sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth is the instruction how to achieve that bodhicitta. So it's not just saying that you need to achieve it, it's also then later explaining how to achieve it. Right? So again, let's go one.
Can I say something?
Yes, please. Yes, of course.
To use a little, is it echoing?
No. Something from his side, something is wrong from his side. Maybe he has two devices or something. Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm going to use this.
Lokesh, can you tell him that there is a problem with the sound from his side?
I think there's a problem in sound from your side. Probably you are working on two devices at the same time. You're logged in two places.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so please mute one of them.
One is muted.
I don't know.
While he sorts it out, we can listen to it.
Why don't you type out your question? Maybe we can read from the chat. Is that fine?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Somebody was saying something in the meantime. Yes, 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 please.
It's fine. It catches long.
Okay, it's just here the main point is emphasize bodhicitta because in general renunciation is considered the end door of the path, any path. But in order to become the entering door for the path of enlightenment, then you need bodhicitta. So this is the main emphasis. Of course, at the beginning they don't come together. You have like alternate, but at some point when they rise together, they become like let's say, the renunciation becomes the substantial cause for the renunciation which spontaneously arises with bodhicitta, and the cultivation of bodhicitta becomes the substantial cause for the bodhicitta will rise together with renunciation when the person is entering the path. I think it's mainly emphasizing that.
Thank you, Venerable. Were you able to type your question? Sorry. Let me see where I could see that. Chat.
Maybe you can try again to speak.
Do you want to try again?
It's Neil.
Hi, Neil. Do you want to try again to speak? No. It doesn't, doesn't work. So, in interest of time, we'll move forward. But you can send the question later. Maybe we can address it in the next session, if that's okay. Or if you want to type right now, that's fine too, of course.
Oh, he has two devices. Galaxy and Neil is both of them. That's why.
Can you disconnect one of those as an admin? Maybe it will help him.
Yeah. Now he can speak properly.
So Neil, we we disconnected one of your devices. Sorry for that, but can you try to speak now?
Yes, I'm saying if I use the 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 non-renunciation way of looking at it, then is it like a duality of the cause or something, or is it not?
So I don't understand your question. What do you mean by non-renunciation way of looking at it?
Like I'm not a renunciate, so uh, why why does that is there still going to be the cause and effect of it?
Well, if you mean by renunciate not having taken formal vows or things, I don't think that's the intention here. Do you mean renunciate in the sense of becoming a monk or a nun?
Yeah, I mean in a general way, yeah.
Okay, so here the intention here is not about whether you are renunciate in the kind of whether you have joined Sangha in the capacity of being a ordained person. It is more of the mental qualities of not being attracted to the pleasures of samsara. There is no condition that you have to be, at least as far as I know, but we have an ordained person here, maybe she can speak about it. But I don't think there is any requirement for us to be kind of ordained to be able to generate pure renunciation. That's my understanding of it. So go ahead and generate it.
Thank you.
Go ahead and generate it if you wish to, without wearing monk's robes and stuff.
I see your point, sir.
But if you mean different from renunciate, then I can address it later too. All right. So I assume that that answers your question. We'll move forward to another nice stanza here. Although you train in renunciation and the mind of bodhicitta, without wisdom that realizes the ultimate reality, you can't cut the root of cyclic existence. Again, there is cause and effect. Yeah. So he develops it later, right? So as you'd see, this text is imbued with causes and effects, and says what causes we need to accumulate to generate the desired effects of mainly three things: renunciation, bodhicitta, and the wisdom of emptiness. Right? The clear steps are there. And it then goes on to also say why cause and effect are so important, right? Next stanza, if you read, and I'll highlight. One who sees infallible cause and effect. See how important this topic is. To see cause and effect itself seems to be entering the path. So to be able to say that I'm going to follow a path of which is logically laid out, these causes, collect them, which will generate this effect, those effects in turn will further generate the effects which you desire further. So that path, the entry to that path must be to understand the causality itself, the cause and effect, that this is how it works. It's one way of looking at it. Other way of looking at it is, of course, what he's saying, one who sees the infallible cause and effect of all phenomena in samsara and nirvana, which is basically seeing the world as a series of these things producing those things. like in Rice Seedling Sutra also, this produces that. If we see that as an infallible kind of a principle that the world is functioning on, that is kind of our entry into the path, right? So that's how critical understanding of cause and effect is.
What does the third line mean in verse 10? Which destroys all focus is the comprehension.
I can only surmise, sir. It is talking about all grasping at the inherent existence. Because cause and effect also serves as the reason to negate intrinsic existence. So if you put in a syllogism, you can use it because it is produced. A seed is not intrinsically existent because it is produced. I think that's a valid syllogism. All right. If there are any questions, we could take them, or it's been 1.5 hours of great discussion, and I thank all of you for participating such enthusiastically. Anything that we need to discuss, or should we close it for today? Yeah.
I have a two-part question. One is, sorry, can we consider cooperative conditions as circumstantial causes? Are these two the same thing, or would you say there's some slight hint of difference?
No, I think that's about right. The circumstantial properties of an effect are given rise by cooperative conditions. That's a kind of a standard position that one would take.
Understood.
Yeah.
Cool. Then the follow-up question would be, so what we are saying is the amalgamation of substantial and circumstantial causes is the effect, causes the effect, right? So the mapping looks like many to one. It's never one to one, right? One effect at any point, one cause at any point give rise to an effect, or is it always going to be many to one mapping where many causes are giving rise to a single effect, or vice versa?
I think we don't find any mention of one-to-one to my limited knowledge. So I think there is a kind of unstated conclusion that it has to be many to one.
Has to got it.
Many
Cool.
to one, right? Yes. Yes.
I think that answers my question. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll close this with our Tushita's very, very nice dedication prayers. Until the end. Until the end. Start from here. Until where? So you can recite it verbally or in your minds. May the precious Supreme Bodhicitta not yet born arise. May that arisen not decline but increase more and more. Incomparably kind and supreme Tenzin Gyatso, the wish-granting, wish-fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, may you have a long life and all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. Due to all the past, present and future merits collected by me, the numberless Buddhas and the numberless sentient beings who are completely empty of existing from their own side, may I, who am completely empty of existing from my own side, achieve the state of Vajrasattva, which is completely empty of existing from its own side, and lead all sentient beings who are completely empty of existing from their own side to that state of Vajrasattva, which is completely empty of existing from its own side, by myself alone, who am completely empty of existing from my own side. I fully dedicate all these virtues to be able to train just like the hero Manjushri, who knows reality, and just like Samanta Bhadra as well. I fully dedicate all my roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by all the gone beyond virtuous ones of the 3 times in order to have good conduct. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.